A good morning, a good afternoon, good evening, good night from where or when you're watching this video. It's John from IT Skills Academy, and today I present yet another video. In today's video, I show you how you can create this admin dashboard using TailwindCss and ReactJs. If this is your first time that you're seeing this channel, kindly consider subscribing, like and share it with your friends, and if you have any suggestions or general comments, kindly leave them in the comment section below. That out of the way, let's get started. So first things first, we're just going to take a tour around the project that we'll be working on before we get started. So from the left here we have the sidebar, which contains the app logo, as you can see from on top here, and then some nav links which are separated into two. We have this first section and we have the last section at the bottom here, which is just settings. At the middle here we are having this text just to greet someone once they visit this specific dashboard. And then on the left we have the specific icons and the profile image. At the middle here we're just having some cards that will just help us to be able to see the analytics. This also includes a bar graph. And at the bottom here basically we're just having a table that shows us the recent transactions. On the right side here we're having the formation status, we're having a progress bar and a button, and these specific cards at the bottom there. This specific admin dashboard is responsive. So for example, if I push it to a mobile screen size, this is how it is going to behave. So we're going to have the sidebar showing only the icons, the logo, the specific icons, links icons, and the settings icon at the bottom. And then we're also going to have this text and the profile image next to each other. And then after that we are just going to see the cards stacked one on top of each other as you would expect. The bar graph right now is quite off, so at this stage we just need to refresh one more time, and that's going to fix the responsiveness of this specific dashboard. So now notice that it is responsive and we don't have that scroll bar at the bottom there. So if I push it to another breakpoint, say that breakpoint, that's how it's going to behave. And if we continue to expose it to different breakpoints, that's how it's going to behave. For this specific bar graph, we need to add some responsiveness, because as of now we need to always refresh so that it can get the new size of this specific card that we're having here. This specific dashboard has a dark theme, as you can see, but at this specific point this specific dark theme is dependent on the system theme. So for example, if I head on to settings, personalization, with the intention of changing the system theme to right, you will notice that when we get back to the admin dashboard, it will also change to right. So as you can see now, this is the admin dashboard in that right mode. So I usually like working in the dark mode, so I'm just going to switch back to the dark theme. So when I get back to the dashboard, it's going to have the dark theme. That's because the system has the dark theme as well. So to be able to create this specific dashboard, as I mentioned, we'll be using TailwindCss. So TailwindCss is basically a utility first CSS framework packed with classes, and that can be composed to build any design directly in your markup. So basically how Tailwind works is that you're going to have your markup like what you're seeing here, and then you're just going to add the specific utility classes, and the Tailwind is going to compile that and create a CSS file that now will be used to style your components. So Tailwind is the framework that we'll be installing later. The other thing that we'll be using is ReactJs. So ReactJs is a free and open source front-end JavaScript library for building user interfaces based on components. It's maintained by Meta and a community of individual developers and companies. React can be used to develop single-page, mobile or server-rendered applications with frameworks like Next.js. So we will need to install TailwindCss, ReactJs, and we're also going to install the React icons. So in this specific project we'll be using the React icons, and for us to be able to use the React icons we need to install them. I'll be taking you through that specific process and explaining it bit by bit so that you are able to understand. So let's do this. To get this installation process started, we'll need to visit TailwindCss official website, that is TailwindCss.com. So this will take you to this official website, and from here all you need to do is to click on docs, or you can click on get started. So let me just click on docs, and this will take you to the TailwindCss documentation. Here you see the get you started with the installation. So what we're going to do here, because we are creating a project based on a framework, we're going to navigate to the framework guides. So this should show a list of the frameworks that are supported by TailwindCss, starting with Next.js and ReactJS. As you can see here, create React app. So for us to be able to install ReactJS, we are going to use Vite. And Vite is a fast and modern development server and a build tool. So I'm just going to click on that, and this will help me to install TailwindCss with Vite. So I'll be using the React, although you can also use Vue or the Slivet. So for us to be able to completely install TailwindCss with Vite, we need to follow these specific steps. We have at least 6 steps. So we'll be going through each and every step. And the first thing that we will need to do is to open the terminal. As you can see, for us to be able to do the installation, we need to do this on a terminal. So to make things easy for us, we're just going to go direct to the desktop, although this can be created anywhere else. So I'll right click on the desktop and open in terminal. Basically I'm opening the desktop folder in the terminal. So this opens the terminal, and I'm currently using the Windows PowerShell. So now inside here I can now be able to start the process of installing TailwindCss with Vite. So as you can see, for us to be able to install TailwindCss, we'll be using the npm, although you can also be able to use yarn. So for us to just get started with what we have here, I'm just going to grab this specific line and copy it, and I'm going to have it in my terminal here. So npm create Vite at latest. So this ensures that you're installing the latest version, and at the end here I can include the project name. So I can call it app fin, or you can give it a name, and then after that I'm going to hit enter. So now after that it is going to request you for the package name. So at this specific point you can just repeat what they have written here, which is just the name of the project, and hit enter. And at this specific point it's going to ask you to select a framework, and we can use the arrows. And here the framework that we'll be using is React, so use the navigation arrows, and when you get to React just hit return or enter. Here it's going to request you to select the variant, and we're going to use JavaScript. Again, use the arrows to select JavaScript and hit return. So now that is done, and we can now be able to run. So for us to be able to run the project, the first thing that we need to do is to navigate to the project folder. So I will cd the app fin, and now I'm in the app fin folder, and after that now I just need to install using the npm, like install all the modules that we are going to need. At this specific point we are going to switch this, because I need to do the rest of the installation in the IDE that we'll be using, and that is the Visual Studio Code. So for us to be able to access this project in Visual Studio Code, I just need to type code space and then the period. So this is going to open this specific project with Visual Studio Code. So just hit enter, and we are now waiting for Visual Studio Code to open, and it's going to open with our project folder. And as you can see, the Visual Studio Code is open. I can close this welcome window, and from the left here you can be able to see the project folder with what we have managed to install so far. So at this specific point I can clean out some of what I don't need. For example, we don't need this. This is basically the logo, so let me just delete that. Plus some more files that we need to be cleaning. Now the next thing that we're going to do is to open the terminal within Visual Studio Code so that we can complete the installation. So to be able to do that, for me I can just go to the view, and then view, and then terminal, and then new terminal. To make things easy you can use this specific shortcut. If you're using Mac, I think this should be Command Shift plus and then the specific symbol, and in fact that's what I'm going to do. Control Shift and that specific symbol, and that opens the terminal at the bottom here, as you can see. And all I need to do is now to ensure that I'm in that specific path, as you can see. So now at this specific point all I need to do now is to install remaining modules. So install rather. And now at this specific point all I need to do is to at this specific point all I need to do is to install the remaining modules. So I'm just going to say npm install and hit enter. This is going to take a minute or two, so I'm just going to pause the video, then I'll be back once it is complete. And that's complete over there. And now the next thing that we need to do from here is, before we run the project, we need to install TailwindCss as well, being the CSS framework that we'll be using. So I'll head on back to the specific documentation, and as you can see, the first step is what we have completed already, and now we need to install TailwindCss. So for that, I just need to come and grab this. So basically it installs TailwindCss. So again, give it some time for it to finish, and again that is installed successfully. The next thing that we need to install is the React. The next thing that we need to install is tailwind.config.js file. So for that, we'll be using the npx tailwind int and then the flag p. So just grab that again, and we're going to copy and paste it there. So basically that installs the tailwind config file, which is one important file that you need when it comes to extending, so that you can be able to customize and use your own colors, use your own font style, and basically just customizing your website so that it looks the way you would like, and not just using the defaults. So that out of the way, the next thing that we now need to do is to configure our template paths. So this is where we add the path to all of our template files in our tailwind.config.js files, and all we need to do is to grab this specific content here. And basically what this is doing is that it's just like directing Tailwind on where it's going to get the markup, because we said that Tailwind is going to use classes that are going to be written on a markup. So you have to tell it where that markup is, so that it can be able to go there, get the Tailwind classes that you have written, which will be compiled into one output.css file, which is going to be used to style your work. So I'm just going to grab these and head on back here, and what I need to do is to open the tailwind.config.js, and that should open here. And just to make things easy for me, all I do is to just delete what is there by default and paste what we have copied. And so now this is the results, and we don't need that anymore, so we're just going to hide it, or just close it rather. Then after that, we need to add the Tailwind directives to our CSS. So these are the Tailwind directives that are going to help us to style our components. So all we need to do again is to grab these three Tailwind directives, and we need to look for the index.css, so that should be within the SRC. Then we see the index.css. So by default there will be the CSS that will be there by default, so we need to just grab that and get rid of it, and just add these three Tailwind directives. So when that is added, we can close that, and then now after that we can run our project. But before we run the project, let me first of all grab this. So and I'm going to have this within the app.jsx. So to get us started here, the first thing that I'm going to do is to delete what we have here by default, and I'm going to write LAFC, hit tab. That's going to give me this, or you can just type this yourself. And then inside here I can just come and have some information. In fact, let me just come and grab this h1, and have it inside here. So let me push this inside, so something like that. So you can even hard code this if you like. So now this is the app.jsx. This is the specific file from where we're going to compile all the components. But first of all, let us test whether this is working. As you can see, in this h1 element, we're having several utility classes. The first one is text 3xl, that gives it the size. This is for the width, and this just decorates it with another line. So we want to see whether that is working and whether React was installed successfully. So to be able to do that, we need to open the terminal, and in the terminal we need to run the project, and to be able to run the project we type npm run div and hit enter and give it a moment. And this is going to provide you with this link, which is where the project is locally hosted. So all I need to do is to hold Control and click. That should open the default browser, and I should be able to see the hello world. So as you can see over there, so you can see it is underlined and it is also bold. This is to mean that TailwindCss is working successfully, and also React is working successfully. The next thing that we need to do is to install the React icons. So navigate to the React icons. So this is the specific link. I'll be leaving it in the description below so that it is easier for you. So the React icons include popular icons in your React project easily with React icons with utilities ES6 import that allows you to include only the icons that your project is using. So these are the specific sets, the icon sets that you have. You can even be picking them from here. And to be able to get started, you need to install, as I had mentioned. There is one for standard modern project, and there is this one as well. So for us, we'll be using the standard. So to get started, we need to install that using the npm. So I'm just going to grab this. And here I'm just going to paste that and hit enter. So that is going to install the React icons. As it installs that, we can try to go back to the documentation and understand. So here you find we have the usage, and this is how all explains how you're going to use the icons after you have installed them. So all you need to do is to import the name of the icon that you're using from the React icons, and then after that you're just going to call that specific icon name down where you want it to appear, so like this. So we'll be doing that practically so that you can be able to understand. It's very easy. You just need to import it and then have it where you want it to appear, like this, in between the angle brackets. So let's check whether that installation is complete, and it's almost done. So let's give it some time to finish. That has been installed successfully, and so all we can do maybe is to test to see whether it is working. So to test it, we can get back to the React icons, and here I'll be using the font awesome icons. And now all we need to do is to grab a specific icon. So let's say, for example, we want this one. So I can just click on that, and here we'll be provided with the codes. So one of the codes is the one for import, so I can grab that and I'm going to have it on top here. And then after that I need to let's just grab it from here. You see, now we have how we are supposed to have it at the bottom there, so I'm just going to grab that, and we're going to assume that we want that icon to be next to the text here, so I'm just going to paste that there like that. So if I get back to the browser here, I expect to see that icon here. Okay, so it doesn't appear there because we need to run the project one more time because there has been some changes. So get back to the text editor here, text editor, and open the terminal and run the project again. And now you can see we have that, we have the hello world and we have the icons. So it therefore means that everything is working successfully, and this means that we can get started. So the first thing that we are going to do is to structure this specific project. It's going to have 2 components, although you can even have it with 3 components. The first component will be the sidebar, and then you are going to have the main component, and then this main component is going to be splitted into 2 sections. We're going to have this specific section here, which is quite big, and then the last section over here. So we need to structure that in the app.jsx before we get started with creating the components. At least that's how I like doing it. So let's do that. So open app.jsx, and here we're going to get rid of this, and first of all we are going to style this main container. So we're going to have the following class names. So the first one is flex, that makes it to be aligned in a row, and for the height we're going to give it the screen size, and we're going to have it with a BG of white. That will be on the light theme, but on the dark theme we are going to have this taking a BG of slate 900. Now inside here, as I've mentioned, we're going to have 2 components. One will be the sidebar and the other one will be main. So each and every one of these components is going to be in its own section. So I'm going to create 2 sections here. And in the first section, let's first of all style it. So the first section will house the sidebar, and on mobile it should take a custom width of 10. So I'm going to have it in square brackets because I need to have it being a custom size. So I'm going to say 10%. And on small devices we're going to have the width increasing to 15%. That will be the sidebar, and then we're going to have the main section, so that will come inside here, and let's style it. It is going to flex in a column, that's on mobile, and it's going to have a width of 90%. That's on small devices, all mobile devices, but on small devices we're going to have the width decreased to 85%. I'm also going to require the contents that are out of the view to overflow. And that's it. So now the next thing that we are going to do is to create the components the sidebar and the main section. So to do that, we'll head on to the Explorer here, and within the source we're going to create a folder, and we're going to call it components. Within the components, we are going to create the sidebar, and within the sidebar we are now going to create the file. We're also going to create the main, and within the main we're going to create the main file. So within the sidebar you're going to write LFC, hit tab, and here we can talk about sidebar. We are going to do the same thing on the main, LAFC, and here we'll call it main. Then we need now to import these two components in our app.jsx. So let me get rid of this because we don't need it anymore, and then we're going to say import, and we are importing the sidebar, and I'm going to show this. Similarly, I'll import the main, and I'm going to choose the first option. So now after that, now we can have that down here. So I'll start with the sidebar, and down here, sorry, there's a typo there, so sidebar. Then here we are going to have the main. So if we now open the browser here, we should be able to see the sidebar and the main, and because we are in the dark mode, that's why this background appears dark. So let me just get rid of this for now. Now we are going to close everything else and just concentrate on the sidebar. So for this, I'm going to get rid of this. Well, let's hide this to create some more room. And now first thing is to style the main container here. So the first thing that you need to do is to determine the height of the screen. Sorry, you need to have the class name. So for the height, we are going to give it a screen. It's going to have a BG of indigo. So this will be on the right theme. And on the dark theme, we're going to give it a darker, so that will be 950. And then after that, now we're going to have yet another container. So this is the container that is going to house the link items. So for this, we are going to have it flexing in a column, having a gap of 3, the width being full, and the text will be gray. And for the height, it's going to take full from this screen, and it's also going to be justified between. So it's justified between because if we get to the finished project here, you'll notice that we have this specific component here, if I may call it, being at the very top, and then we're having this at the bottom. So given that the height of this is full, then the justify between makes these two to be on both ends of each other. So we have this on the top and this at the bottom. So we can try that. So just to test that out, here I can create two containers. I can say one, and I can also have another one, and I'm going to label it 2. Sorry, here we should have it being flex and a gap of 3. So let's get back here, and now you're going to notice that we have 1 and we have 2. So that is because of the justify between, we're able to achieve this. You also notice that now this sidebar now has that gray color. I also need to reduce the contrast a little bit. So what I'm going to do is here in the background, I'm going to put / and then 90. So if we come back here, you notice that now the contrast has reduced a little bit. Okay, so let's continue. So the next thing that I'm going to do now is to get rid of that, so that now we can continue with the real content. So with this one, I'm going to give it the following utility classes. One is that it should flex in a column having a gap of at least 10, and we should have the px of 4 and a margin top of 4. So for this container is the one that is housing these two. So the gap between this and this is 10, and all of these we're having it in wrapped in one container, which is what we've just created here. So therefore means that inside here we can have that specific logo. Again, we're going to have it lapped, so let us style it a little bit. So a class name, and here the items should flex in a row, and we should also have them justified center, and also for the gap we're going to give them 2. So here we're going to have 2 containers. So one will be for the SVG icon, and the other one will be for the text. So I'm just going to have it here, like I can call it upfill, and here we are going to have the SVG, but before that let us style them. So for this one it is going to flex, so now inside this container we're going to have the logo and the text. So I'm going to have 2 containers to house the 2. So let me duplicate this, and for the first one it's going to have the SVG icon. So let's style it a little bit. And we should also have a gap of 2. So inside here we are going to have the SVG, and inside here now we are going to have the text. So this one can be and let's style this container again, so a class name, and this one we want it on mobile to be hidden, but on MD we want to show it, and we are going to give it that font width. So let's grab the icon, and as I had mentioned, we need to import the icon before we have it here. So get to the React icons here, and here I'm going to search the icon that I need. Sorry, I need to search for money. So let me look for that. It should be here, so just click on it and first of all import it. So I'm going to have it imported on top there, and then I can easily just grab that, and inside here I'm going to have it within these argo brackets like that. So if we get to the application now, we should see something like that. Yeah, so we have it here, although it's somehow disorganized, so we need to fix that. Oh, sorry, we made a mistake. So let's try to fix that. So here we should have a container like that, and this container is the one that should have this class or those classes, and then for this we're going to get rid of this, and these two should be inside here. So sorry for that confusion, so let's push them inwards a little bit like that, so it's easier to understand, and remove this white space. So this should be the container that is housing the logo. So we're having the icon and the name, and they are in two containers, and the two containers are wrapped within one main container which has this classes. So if we check that out now, that should be fixed like that. So let's add some classes to the SVG. So the first thing is to have the text color, and on the dark we need to change the color, and it's going to take white. We're also going to have the text being extra large on mobile, but on MD we're going to increase that to 4XL. So it should look something like that on the dark thing. So now let's have the link items. So I'm going to have that inside this main container. So let me just hide this. So now below here we create a container, and let's style it. So the first thing that I need for this is I need them to flex in a column, and I need to have them with a gap of 5, and on SM the text should get to small, but on mobile the text should be medium. We're also going to change the text size on a large, and here the text will be large. So that should be inherited by all the children that we're going to have here. So let's have our first link, but before we have that, we need to have the styling sorted. So this should be at the center with a gap of 2, and here we are going to have the SVG icon and the text. So for that, we are going to create 2 containers. Here we're going to have the icon, and at the bottom here we're going to have the text. So for this we need to style it, because we want to have it hidden on mobile, but on small devices we need to show it. On hover, we want to change the text to straight 100 while the cursor changes to a pointer. And so now we can have the text. So the text here will be dashboard. So now we need to have the SVG for the dashboard. So we get here and we can look for dashboard. So let me see what we have here. Alright, see that. So let me finish spelling here, dashboard, and here you go. So grab that as usual, have it imported, that should be on top here, and grab that, and we're going to have it inside here. So if we check the browser right now, it's refreshing that. So we have something like that over there. When you hover, you can see that specific hovering effect. If we change the screen size here, you're going to notice that at that breakpoint the text size changes to that small size. At that specific breakpoint now we have the text in the logo here being hidden. The text is still small, still visible because we have some space, and when we push it till that specific point, now we are only seeing the icons. And so now similarly we should do the same to the rest of the links that we're going to have down there. So for that, I'm just going to grab this container and I'm going to duplicate it several times. So let's see how many of that we need. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6, we already have 1. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That should give us something like that. And so now all we need to do is to change the text. Okay, so we check that, then we should have something like that. And oh sorry, we made a mistake. So what I can do, because we have 2 of that, let me grab this and I'm going to have it at the end. and this one should be beneficiary, and that should be fixed. And so now the next thing that I need to do is to change the icons. So I'm going to start with the cards. And here the card that we're going to use, let's just use this one. So import it first. We are going to have it on top here, so we grab this, and we are just going to replace that. The next one that we need is the payments. So again, we have the payments, and here I'm just going to grab this one. So have it imported on top here, then grab it, and we're going to replace the payments. We're also going to have the accounts. So for this we can search for accounts, let me just say account. That's going to give us more options, and we can go with outline. And we're just going to grab this one. So have it imported first on top here, and then grab that, and we're going to replace this one. We also have the loans. So here I'm going to search for bank notes, and I should grab this one. Have it imported first, so that should come on top here. I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to have that in the loans. So therefore means that we have skipped the accounts. So let's look for the accounts. So for that I'm going to search for accounts balance. So that again should be account. Let's look for account balance. So have that imported, so that should be on top here. Grab that, and I'm going to have that in the accounts here. Wait a minute, sorry. Okay, so the last one will be the beneficiary. So for the beneficiary, we are just going to use the people. So I'm going to head on back here and search for people, and I'm going to use for people, so with allo. So this one over here, so grab that and have it imported. So that should be imported somewhere on top here, and I'm going to replace the last one here. So that should be working fine. If we get back here, so that should be fixed. And so the last thing that we need now to do is to fix the settings. That is one that should come at the bottom here. Still refreshing that, so we're going to check back and see that. So now that we have those items, let me just hide them here like so, so that now at the bottom here we create one container. Let's just label it like 1. We see that here, but I'm expecting to see it at the bottom, so therefore means that we are having it in the long container. We need to have it in this container that has the justify between, that class of justify between, so that it can be pushed at the bottom. So we need to have it outside of this. So let's hide this, and inside here we're going to have that. So that now at the end of the day you have something like that. And so we're having this at the bottom here. So if we get back here, we should now be able to see that the number 1 appears at the bottom there, and that's because we have the utility class wrap between and height of full. Alright, so now we can work on that specific newly added section there. So let's first of all style it. So class name, and we're going to have 8 flex. Being at the center, the text will be MD, but on small devices we're going to reduce the text to extra small, and on MD the text again should get to small, so text small. On large we should have the text being large. We are going to have it with a px of 4, or the margin bottom will be 4 with a gap of 2. So now here we're going to again have the SVG and the text. So we're going to have 2 containers. So this is going to have the SVG, while this one is going to have the text. And let's style the text a little bit. So we want by default this text to be hidden, but on small devices we want to show this, so we're going to say flex. So the text itself should be settings. For this it will be the settings gear, so we import that. So it should be this one here. So I'm grabbing it here so that I can be able to have it imported, and we are having it imported from on top here, and then grabbing this and we are having it down here. Sorry. So it should be somewhere like that, and so when we get to the browser we should be in a position to see that. So you can see now the beneficiary was updated, and now we now have the settings there. And if we move to that breakpoint, we are only seeing the icons. So that's working fine there, and so now we are going to concentrate on the main. So get to the text editor, and now we want to start with this section here, the good morning, and then now we're going to break to this before we now finish with this. So to get started, I'm just going to get rid of the main. First of all, I just have it back, and we can start by styling the main container here. So first we're going to have it flex in a column that is on mobile, but in the medium screen we should have it flex in a low. For the BG, we are going to give it indigo, and this one should be 100. That's on light, but on dark we're going to have the BG changing to select 950. Let's fix this. So that should be fine. Now after that, we are going to have at least 2 sections here. So just to show you that we have this section here and this section here. So to be able to do that, we're going to create 2 sections here. So this will be a section. Let me just call it section 1 and duplicate that, and here I'm going to have section 2. Now let's style this, and first of all we are going to have this having a width of auto on mobile, but on the medium breakpoint we're going to have the width getting to 70%. So we're going to divide this into 70/30. The height is going to take a height of full, and now that will be the first section. Let's also style the second section here. So this one, for the width, again it will take a width of full, also auto can work, and that we have given the previous one a height or a width of 70. This one is going to take the remaining, which is 30%. And we're also now going to give it the background color. So again, this one is going to take the indigo 200, but on dark we are going to have the BG being select 900. So this is just to reduce the contrast. So when you just have it like that, this will be the color, but if we add the 20, we're just reducing the contrast of the opacity, if we may say so. So the opacity is reduced to that. So if we check that here, you're able to see number 1 and number 2 at the end here. Okay, so that's fine. So now we're going to concentrate on this middle section. So I'm just going to come here and get rid of the 1, and now this one, we're going to first of all start with this section here. So I'm going to create a container here, and as usual we're going to start by styling it. So the first thing is that it should have a width of full, it should flex, and the items should move at the center. We should also have them justify between. This is going to help us to have this one here, and this text at the medium breakpoint, or on mobile we should have it moving to this section. At this specific breakpoint we have it being hidden, but on mobile we are going to have it moving to this specific area. Let me just show you like that. We're also going to fix the text here so that the image has that perfect circle. Alright, so let's continue. So now in between this container, or within this container, we are now going to have the specific text. So have that in a container, and we're going to style it a little bit. So our class name, it should take a text of indigo, and this one should be 950. It should have a margin of 4, and you're also going to have the text being extra large, but on MD the text should get to 2 extra large. On the dark we're going to have the text being transparent. This is because we want to have the text having this specific gradient color, and for us to be able to see the gradient color we need to have the transparency. So let's first of all maybe ignore the transparency and have the gradient without the utility class BG transparent, so that we see how that helps. So we're going to talk about a dark, and on dark we're going to have a BG of a gradient 2 TL. So this is how we usually have the text having that specific gradient color. So this will only appear on the dark, and you're now going to have the 2 colors that we want. So we have from, and the from takes the first color, so this should be indigo 800, and the 2 takes the second color, so to pink, and we're also going to have it being 800. So if we check that as it is, oh sorry, we need to have the text first, so this should be good morning IT Skills Academy. So if we check that right now, we're going to have something like this. So to be able to fix that, we are going to add the BG creep text, so that this background is applied to the text and not to the background of the text. So to be able to do that, here before we have this, we are going to say BG, and we say creep text, and so if we check that, then we achieve something like that. So the color is there, but we cannot see it, and that's why we need to come and talk about that on dark screens this one should have a text of transparent. We are only adding the dark because this one should only appear on dark theme, the gradient, but on the light theme the text should be normal, should take the normal text color. So if we check that, we should now be able to see something like that. So fine. So now we can continue now to have the profile image and also a few icons. So for that we are going to create a container, so that should be within this specific container, this one here. So at the bottom here I'm creating a container, and I want to style it a little bit. First of all, I'm going to add flex, although we are going to have it hidden, but for us to be able to see, first of all, I'm going to have it visible. I'm having the items moving to the center, and also I want these items to move to the very end of this specific container. So I'm going to say justify end. It should have a padding right and left of 4. The text, we're going to give it indigo, and it's going to take indigo 950. So that should be on light, while on dark we are going to have the text moving to select 800. Or rather, let me have this with 400 instead. Yeah, so that it's a bit visible. And now inside here we are going to have the various icons. So let's have the icons. The first one should be the colored icon. So for this one we are going to go with which one? All colored outline. So let's just pick this one over here. So the first thing, as usual, is to have it imported. So we're going to have that imported on top there, and then we are going to have it inside here. And I'm going to duplicate this because we need at least 3 of them. The other one should be a notification. So for the notification, again we're going to grab the outline, and we're going to have it imported. And similarly, we're also going to have the mail. So mail. And for this one we are going to pick let's pick that one, and I'm going to import it. So that should be on top there, and then after that I can copy and replace this. I'm also going to copy this and have it replace that. And then after that, at the bottom here we are going to have the image. So image attribute or element, and the attribute SLC, have that closed. So this one we're going to say is equals to, and we're going to have it in curly brackets. So here we need to have our images set. Let me try to have that organized here. The images, we are just going to pick the images from the finished project. This one should be inside the assets, so the image, and we can get the desktop, and where is our application? Fin up, source, assets, sorry, we are in the long place. Should be here, sorry. And then source, then assets. Let's get rid of this, and we can have the image. It's only one image, so we now need to import that specific image. So we are going to come on top here and say import. The name of that image, I think, is profile, and we are going to have 2 single quotes, and then we're going to navigate to that specific location. So that should be we need to have the from here. I usually like to get suggestions, yes, like that, and then assets, and then image, and then the profile. And then now I can grab this. Of course this should be .jpg. Don't forget the extension, and then we can have that here. And we're also going to style it a little bit. So class name, and we're going to have it being rounded full with a width of 8 and height of 8. So if we check that out, then we should be able to see something like that. But now at this specific point we don't want to show them, so I'm going now to change this from flexed to hidden. So they should only be shown on a medium breakpoint, but when we get to large we should have it hidden. So like that. So if we check, because now this is not on a mobile, it will be hidden, and we are going to have it here later. So that navigation section, we can see it's complete, and so now we can head on to the next section. So basically this will be a grid. If you look at the finished project here, we are having this specific grid here. So we have this and we have this, so we are going to have two. We have this and this. So to be able to do that, we are going to ensure that we get out of the navigation, so I can just collapse it or hide it there. And I'm going to create a container here. Now this container, how its content will be displayed is like a grid, and so I'm going to give it a class name of grid. So cards will be stacked one on top of each other on mobile, but I want this to change when it comes to a medium screen, where the columns should change to on breakpoint, on medium breakpoint, sorry. Again we're having this changing to again. On large we are going now to increase this to 4. We're also going to have them with a gap of 4 and a margin all rounded of 4. So that should be our grid, and we can test that out. So I can create a container here and talk about card, and I can duplicate these like 4 times, and then when I get here I should be able to see them there, the 4 of them, and when I move to that breakpoint we should be able to see the cards stack like that. At this breakpoint we should have them being 2, that's medium. At that breakpoint they now get to 4. So that's working fine. So now we can have the cards. So I'm just going to create the cards here. So I'm getting rid of that, and first of all styling the container that's going to house the cards contents. So class name, and here we are going to have this flexing in a call on a mobile. We also want them to justify between taking a width of full. On medium screens the width should change to auto, or rather at this breakpoint here it should be auto. And I'm also going to have the height being 48. The BG on a right theme is going to be white, but on dark the BG should change to slate what did I have here? Select 900, and I'm going to reduce the opacity to around 50. The padding all rounded should be 4. I also want to have some rounded corners, so I'm going to talk about rounded rounded MD, sorry. And then now we're going to have the contents. So we get inside that container, create another shout container, style that container, so like things here should flex within a width of full, and then we should have the items moving at the center, and then this should be justified between. So the first thing that we're going to have here as the content is the SVG icon. So the SVG icon will be coming inside here, and we need to have that styled a little bit. So again, we're going to have here the text being 4XL, and for the color we are going to have that be indigo, and this one should be all the way to 950. That should be on dark, but light rather, but on dark, and the text should change to select, and this should be 900 or rather 400. So that's for the SVG. So we're going to have the SVG there in a minute, but before then let's have some more content here. So we're going to have another container. This again is also going to take an SVG, so we're going to have it flexing, or rather, sorry, here the font should be extra bold, the text should be 4XL. On small devices the text should change to 2XL, and on large devices the text should be XL, while the text should be indigo 950. And I have forgotten something, but let's first of all finish this to say that on dark the text or the BG should be select 900. This one should be 4. So this should be the amount. In fact, let me just show you this. What we need to do, let's just have that amount here. So 5. So here we should have another SVG. That's what I had forgotten. So let me have that container here, and what I need to do is to style it. It will be styled different, so we're having it moving at the center, because we want to create some sort of a circle. Let me just show you that. So this is what we are creating. So the SVG is going to be inside this specific circle. So for this to be at the center, this ellipse, these 3 dots, for them to be at the center, we need to have the items center and justify center. So the 2 should be like that. And now for the width, we are going to talk about 10 and a height of 10. That makes it a perfect circle. We're also going to say that on dark, the text should be threads, and that should be 400. Well, the BG moves to indigo, and it's indigo 200. On dark, this BG should change, and we are going to have it with BG of slate 900. Reduce the opacity to 50, and it should be rounded full to make it a perfect circle. So let's have the two SVG icons. Or wait a minute, this should be outside because we want to have the two SVG, so the two like this, so it should not be inside the other one. So for the first SVG should be a wallet, so wallet, okay, that should be what, let me get the name. There's a typo, should be wallet, and we are going to grab which one. Let's grab this one. Have it imported first, so that should be on top here. And we're also going to import the other one, so that should be a menu. So we're coming here and saying menu. So this is the one that we need, so we have it imported. That should be the first thing. So now that the two are imported, I can now have them inside here. So something like that. And now if we check this, we should be able to see something like that. Or we need to change this, because you see all of them now are appearing in a row, but they should be in a column. So this one here is in the wrong place because it should be here. So we grab that, and this one, let's first of all just get rid of it first and kind of forget about it. And now if we come back here, we're going to see that we ran into an error. Let's try to see the error. It's saying about it's about the crossing of tags, so should be this one. I had deleted an extra crossing tag there. Alright, so you see now we have this and this, so they are now in hello and they are on both ends. And now what we can do is, within this container that has the flex of call and justify between here, should come and have this down there, so that now if I can hide this just for you to understand. So this is one that is housing the two icons, and now we have this being the value. And let me just align it properly, push this one, so something like that. And so if I check that, then we should see something like that. We need to change this, it should be text instead of BG, so something like that. And we're also going to make the text a little bit bigger. So text for XL, font extra bold. I was expecting it to be quite big, but okay, let's fix that. Text for XL, yeah. So if we want it to be any bigger, we can come and make it 2XL. Yeah, so but let's just have it with being extra large. So it appears at the bottom, but we are going to fix that. Now to continue, below that we are going to have a container, and inside this container we're going to have some text. So we wrap it within a container and we call it your back balance. So we need to style this again. So for the text again, it takes the Indigo 950. On dark, the text should be slate 400. Well, the text should be small, and it should also be semi-bold. And that should be the card, as you can see over here. So now the next thing that I can do is to duplicate that so that we have at least 4 of them. So I'm going to grab the card, which should be this one if I'm not wrong. Grab that and duplicate it 1, 2, 3, 4, and check the results, and you should be able to see something like that. And all that I can now do is to change the text, and let me change that real quick. So that's fine, and so the text can just remain like that. So you can just change the text to your preference, and we can also, just to make it look a bit lively, we can change the icons. So the first icon should be a shirt, so we can come here and talk about shirt. I'm going to import this one, so that should be imported on top here. Let me first of all import all of them. Then we have people, so I'm going to have all of them imported, and then later on I'm going to have them in my component. So the other one should be canned. And so now all that I can do is to replace that starting with the last one. So that should be inside here. So we are replacing the wallet. So should have the other one. Should be this one. And then we also have these. This one should be the pie. So canned people sorry. So I'm going to have the first one. So this one will remain to be a wallet, while this one we're going to change that. So that one should change to the pie chart. Okay, so something like that. Then here we should have the people. So I'll grab the people. So the outline is there. So here we should have the people. And then last here we are going to have the canned. So if we were to check that, and should have something like that. Sorry, we missed something. This one should be people and this one should be card. So we've seen something like that. You can see now the background that we applied here is now coming out very clearly. It's different from this one down here, all the left here. So if we test that on that breakpoint, see it's responding to that specific breakpoint, which is okay. Let's try to fix this maybe before we go far and forget about that. So one of the things that I can do is to reduce either the text or this specific image here. Let me see the text. The text can get quite smaller, so instead of extra large, let's just make it large. Okay. Yeah, so that I think should be okay. Because I don't want to interfere with the gapping and all that. So yeah, so let's see on the right. So that looks fine. So the next thing that I'm going to create now is the other grid. That should be this section here. And so, well, let's have the second grid that will appear at the bottom here. So getting back to Visual Studio here, and that section, we see we should have it somewhere below here. So what I would like to do is to collapse, or to just close the first grid here. You just have it like that, so that now I can have the other one appearing here. So quickly here, we are creating a container, and we want everything in this container to be in a grid. And on medium screens, this one should get to at least 4 columns. The gap should be 4 with a margin all rounded of 4 and the width we are going to have it being out. So now we can start creating the card. So for that, first of all, we quickly style it here. So class name, and this one we are going to have it spanning to at least 4 columns. So we're going to say call span 4. So like, because we have at least 4 columns here, we are saying that this should take all of the 4 columns. So like they should be merged into one. But on that is on a mobile, but on small screens, or rather on medium screens, we should have this spanning to 1 with a height of 28 and the BG being white, while on dark we should change the BG to slate, and the slate is 950 and we're having it loaded. So we still continue creating this card, and sorry. So this one we want it to flex in a column, so I'm going to say flex call, and we're going to have it justified between, and the padding should be 4 all loaded, and height of full. Okay, so now we can have some content inside that style container. So let me first of all have a div here within which we're going to have the text new clients. We need to style it, so first of all we want the font to be semi-bold. For the text color, we are going to give it indigo, that is indigo 950, while on dark screens we're going to talk about text slate, and this one should be 900, or rather let's have it with 400, and that's it. Below that container we are also going to have some more stuff. Let me just show you. So we're going to have this value 64, and also this as well. So for that we create another container. We are styling it here. The items, we are saying that they should be at the center. So first of all, flex, and then items at the center. And then justify between. For the width, it's going to take a width of full. Now inside here we're going to have two containers. So the first container is going to have the value, that is the value 64. So let's style it here. So for the text we are giving it 5XL, and on small screens this text should change and we should have it being extra large. While on large screens we're going to have it being 5 extra large. Let's bold the text and change the text to indigo 900. That's on a light theme, but on dark we should have that change, so text should change to select 400. We are creating yet another container here. This is the one that is going to have the percentage, so 69%, and we need to style it. So we want it to flex. The padding is going to be 2, the PY is going to be 1. We're going to have the text being small, rounded MD, or rather let's have it rounded full. BG we are going to have it being green 500. The items we are going to have them centered, so items center. For the text we are going to have it being in green, and this one, the opacity is going to be a bit high because we're going to give it 900. So let's check what we have so far, and this is what we got. So that will be the first container there, all canned. Then we're going to have the second one. So this is one that is going to contain the bar graph. So that being the first canned. So this should be the first card. That means the other card should appear here. Nice. So let me just hide this. So now the other card comes here. So for this we are going to have the column span to 4. On medium the call is going to span to 2. We're going to have it with a BG of white, that is on right theme. On dark theme we're going to have the BG being slate. This should be slate 900. We're going to reduce the opacity to 50. So we're going to have the shirt inside here. So let me first of all just say shirt. The other one will be similar, so the other card. So I'm just going to grab this one, and I'm going to have it down here. So now we have something like that. So the shirt will be appearing here, and these will be the clients. But when you look at this, the shirt is made to be, because of the height of the shirt, we are having this and this being on the left, while here the size, the width here is a bit small, and that's why we're having them in a low. Let me change something here. On MD, this one should be called span 3 and not 2. And then we're also going to add a low span of 2, like it should at least take the space of 2 lows. And now that will make it to be similar to what we're having here, because now we have increased the number of lows. So now it is taking the space of this and this. That's because we've said that it should span to 2 lows. So this being 2 lows, then this is going to take the space of the 2, and it's made to be that big. So now we are going to have the shirt inside here. And so the first thing that we need to do is to install, because we are going to use the React shirts. So let me just take you to that specific website. So it's React shirt JS. So this one here. So you should go with the very first option. So we click on that. So that takes us to this specific website. So here you're going to get React components for shirt.js, the most popular shirting library. So to get started, we have the quick start here. So we need to install this library with peer dependencies. So we can use this, but for me I'm going to use the npm. So all I can do is to copy this line of code and head back to the Visual Studio Code, and here I need to open the terminal, and in the terminal I'm going to paste that line of code and hit enter, and then I'm going to just give it a minute to finish installing that. So it has finished installing that. So let's get back here and try to see the usage. So once we have installed, then we should import and use the individual components. Well, that is installed successfully. And the next thing that we are going to do is now to have the shirt, and we're going to first of all create the component. So I'm going to go to the Explorer components, and here I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it shirt, and within this I'm going to create the file shirt.jsx. And now here I'll write LAFC, and here the first thing that I need to do is to import the specific component that I want. So in this case we'll be working with the bar graph. So I'm going to have the bar graph, and this is going to come from the React JS. So I'm just going to say from, then in double quotes I'll say React shirt JS2. Other than that, I also need to import shirt as shirt.js from shirt.js auto. So import, and here I'm going to talk about this should be in caps, so the capital C rather, so as chat.js, and this is coming from chat.js/auto. So we have here to specify the type of the chat that we want. In our case it is bar. So now we can have it down here. So like that. So for us to be able to have the bar there, we have to determine the information that will appear in the X and the Y axis. So this is what we are going to do. So down here we're going to have data, and this will be equal to, and here the first thing that we want to have is the label. So this is the information that will appear in the X axis. So here I'm going to have the labels. So for example, I can talk about views. This should be in single quotes, views. I can also talk about subscriptions, and maybe I can talk about likes. Okay, so the labels are complete, and now the next thing that I want to have here is the data. So I'm going to have this within datasets, and inside here, sorry, this should be square brackets. So inside here I'm going to have the first thing being label. Again, this should be in curly brackets. So I'm going to have the label, and we'll be seeing what this label is. So we can have a specific name. So like for example, I can talk about the count, or maybe analytics, because I'm referring to the values that will be shown for each and every one of these labels. So in fact this one needs to be labels, and this one should be label. Okay, so now after that, the next thing that we're going to have down here is the actual data. So here, for example, we can come and say that the views are 5,000, and the subscription is, let's say, 2,000, and maybe the likes is 600. And just like that, if we get to the browser here, first of all, we are not seeing that because we need to have it imported from the main. So here I'll need to come and import, and I'll be importing the chat, and this will be coming from chat. Then here we have the chat. So now that we have the chat here, I can come and replace this. In fact, all I can do is to have the square brackets, something like that. And so when we check from the browser now, we're able to see the chat appear there. So you see the values that we have in this specific area here. We just show you that. So here you can see we have these values, 5,000, 2,600. So it has to create a range that is within that, or those values. So from 0 to 5,000. Because that is the highest value. So say for example we reduce these to say 4,000, the range will be affected as well. and also you can be able to see the labels, so the view, the subscriptions, and the likes. And here we are having the count, which is this one here, so the label, the count. So we can change this to anything, analytics, and you're going to see something like that. So that's how you can have a chart in ReactJS. And also down here we can be able to decide the color, so we can talk about background color. And when it comes to background color, we're just going to use the background color, and then here we say, or we state the colors that we want for the various bars. So for example, we can say the first one should be green, and maybe the other one pink, and maybe we can talk about purple. Maybe this one can be orange, so something like that. So when we come back here, we're going to see something like that. So here we have the yellow, we have the pink, and then here we have the purple. So something like that. So the other thing that we can do is maybe to add some styles to this bar here. So for example, I can go to the bar here and have a class name, and here say I can talk about the margin, so I can give it a margin of 2, and on large I can say that the padding will be 3. So when we check that, then we should be able to see that margin being applied. So for the colors, you can also be able to use the RGB colors. So for example, here I can talk about RGB, and I can have the following colors. So that will be the first color. For the second color, I also need to change it, and I'm also going to change this. So this one, so now you're going to see the colors now change to that, which is similar to what we are having here. So there we have the chart, and we also need to change this a little bit. So let's change that. So let me just hide this to create some space over here. So I need to change this one, so we can talk about invoice overdue, and this one changes to 9. Okay, so something like that. So the next thing that we're going to have is the table. So if you go to the finished project, you see the next thing that we have here is the table. So let's quickly tackle that. So we need to grab that specific grid and we need to hide it, just collapse it like that, so that we can be able to see where else we're going to have that. So this is where we are going to have the table. So quickly I create a container, and for this container it is going to have a margin or rounded of 4, and we're also going to create another container for it. So first of all, before we have any contents, we're going to kind of style it. So this will just be the text. Let me just have that here to be recent transactions, and so we can now style it here. So the first thing is the text, so it should be indigo, and this one should be 950. That's on light, but on dark the text should change to slate 400. Where the font gets to bold and the text size is 2XL, the margin top and bottom is going to be 4, so we see MY4. Okay, so that's done over there. And so now below that, now we can have the table. So here we're going to have the element table, and we're going to style it. So it's going to take a width of full. For the text, it's going to be SM. The text will be aligned to the left, and on dark the text should get to indigo, and this should be indigo 500. Let's first of all check so that we're not having it in the wrong place. Yeah, it's correct, so we can continue. So now we get inside the table, and we're going to have the T head element, and we're going to style it. So for the T element, the text is going to be extra small. The text is going to get to indigo 950, and on dark the text should be slate 400. We're also going to make it to be in capital letters, so we say uppercase, while for the BG on right there, we're going to have it being glare or 50, but on dark we should have the background changing to slate 900. So BG slate 900. We're going to reduce the opacity by 50, and so now we can have the column headings. Of course, again, these will appear in the TL element. So quickly we can have that. So let's say TH divided by TH3. Okay. So we're going to have TH, sorry, and we're going to have these at least three of them. But before then, let's have the class name, which should be PY of 3 and a PX of 6. For this scoop, we are going to say that is equals to call. And so here we're going to say that the first heading here is person. Then I'll duplicate this twice, so shift alt and press the arrow pointing down, and here I'm going to have this should be bank account, and this one should be amount. So far so good. That should be fine. We check that, we should be able to see something like that appearing at the bottom there. Now that we have the T head, we can now have the T body. So T body, and we are also going to style the T body a little bit. So for the text, it's going to take the indigo 950, while on dark the text again changes to slate 400. So we're going to have our first row, and again we style it. It's going to take a BG of white on a light theme. Again on dark the BG changes to slate 900 and with an opacity of 50, and should also have a border bottom. So you're going to have the TD element. Again the T element should be styled, so PY of 4 and a PX of 6, and here we can have the first detail. So here you can say John Doe, and then you can duplicate that several times, and here we're going to have maybe an account number, so something like that, and here maybe we can have the amount. So we're just going to use this and duplicate it several times. So now if we check that, we should be able to see the table down there. Maybe we can change the color because it appears a bit off. Text indigo, oh here, text, I have a typo there. So I can just duplicate this TL so that we have at least several rows. And so there you have the table completed. So I'm just checking on the responsiveness, and as you can see, it responds very well to that screen size. Well, so we can now proceed on to the next part, that is this part over here. So that is the last section. So so that information will appear here. So let's work on that again. So the first thing that we are going to have is this specific icons here and the profile. So we are going to have it flex or shown on this large screen, so it's going to appear here, but when we move to mobile, then we should have it move to the middle section. So at this screen it is appearing in this section, but on mobile it's going to appear in this section. So for that we're going to have it appear in both sections, but we hide it in either of the sections depending on the screen size. So for example, here you see we are having it here in the middle section. So you see the good morning, we are having it here, but because it is at this screen size we have it being hidden. But when we push it to that screen, then we are able to see it around here. So that's what I want to do. So what I can just do is to just grab it. So that should be from where I think I just need this one, this container here. You see at this specific breakpoint it is hidden, but on mobile it is going to be shown, so we have flex. So now in the other section we are going to have it in the other way around. So it's going to be hidden on mobile but flex on medium. Okay, but before that we're going to have one container here. So we style it first. So here first of all we say that the content should flex in a column, and the margin all outed should be 4. So inside here now I can have that. So let me just arrange that a little bit, so something like that. So now we are going to say that on mobile it should be hidden, but here it should flex. So we go there, we are able to see it there, but when we reduce that to that specific size, we now have it hidden. Remember, it is in this section below here. So let me just try to have something here. See, it should be appearing here, but now we have it hidden, so that it is only shown on top here. So it's my hope that you are able to understand that. So we are just playing around with this. Okay, so that is now completed. We can now move on to the next thing. So it's basically this specific card. So let's work on that card here. So that should again appear at the bottom here. So here I'm creating a container, and I would like to first of all style the container as usual. So here the items are flexing on a column, and the BG we are saying should be white, but on dark the BG changes to slate, and it should be slate 400 as we have been having it. And for the sorry, this one should be 900 with a saturation of 50. Yeah, we are also going to have this having a gap of 6. The padding should be 4. The margin again is 4, and we're also going to have the corners loaded median. So we are also going to have the height being auto. Yeah, and I think let's have a shadow of LG. Again, inside that we're going to have another container, and within this container we're going to have 2 more containers. These are going to have the text information status, and we also need to style it a little bit. So we talk about class name. So for the font weight, it should be bold, and we're also going to have the text being Indigo 950. Here the text should change to Slate 400 on dark theme. So that's one. We are also going to have another text here, so this should be in progress, and we are going to style that. So again, class name, the text we're going to make it extra small, the font remain to be bold, the text is Indigo, and this should be 500. On the dark, the text changes to Slate 400, and that's it. So we have something like that. So what we're having here, and now the next thing that we are going to have is the the progress bar. So this one here, so that should come below these two. So somewhere here, so here again we have another container. So this one we are giving it a height of 4. Should take a width of full. On dark, the BG should be gray 200, and we also need it to be rounded LG. And I think we should have something. Okay, yes, we have something like that. Then the next thing that we want to have there is now the color. So like so we have this indigo color, so that's what we want to have inside there. So for that reason we are creating another container here, and it's going to take a height of the same, but now the background changes to indigo, and this should be indigo 900. On dark, the text changes to, oh, we don't have any text there, so just need to have it rounded LG. And we also need to determine the width of this specific container, which sort of now indicates the progress. So we're going to give it a custom width of 30%. So now instead of being full, now we have it at that specific point. Okay, so we continue building this card. So just have this text and the button. So quickly getting back to Visual Studio Code. So again we go below that specific container, we create another container, and here we have the information flex in a call, and the content appearing at the center. So we're going to have the two sentences there on text. So processing, and let's style that. So again, this one So this one should be 950. On dark, the text should change to straight 400. So that's enough. We are also going to have one more. So down here we create another one, and this one should be 425 business. And so we can again style it. So let's say that the font should be semi bold. The text changes to indigo. And here we are having the text being small. Good. And then the last thing that you're going to have there is the button. So again, a container for the button. So here we are going to have it without any class, and so now you're going to have the button. Let's style the button. The button is going to have a gradient color. So this is how we do it. So we say bg gradient 2. So this is the direction of the text. So it's from top right, and the first color. So we say from, and we're going to have a pink 900. So that's the first color. I'm going to have two colors only. So the last one should be 2. And this one will be indigo, and again indigo 900. On dark, the text changes to slate 400. But by default the text should be white, that is on light theme. So text of white, and we're also going to have it loaded extra large, and the information here will be view status. So that should be complete. Okay, so we should have it with some width. So let's say width of full and with a padding of 4. Yeah, so that's fine. So now the next thing that you're going to have of course is this. So you're just going to have one and then duplicate it. So we're going to come down here, and we're going to have yet another container. So let's style this first. So first of all, here contents flex in a column with a gap of 5. The margin is going to be 4. The text here goes to indigo 900. On dark, the text changes to select 900. Okay, so here we are creating another container, and we are first of all styling it. So here items, are flexing. For the gap it should be 4. We also want them to be aligned at the center on a BG of white. On dark, that BG changes to select 950 with a padding of 2 and should be loaded MD. Should also not forget the width of full. So inside that container we're going to have shared container. This is all that is now going to contain the information. So again, the items flex here appearing at the center, and justify center. So here we are making some sort of a circle. So it's basically, let me just show you that. So basically this circle here, which has an icon within it. So that's why we are saying it should be loaded full, and we are giving it a height and a width of 8. And then the BG we are saying should be indigo 300. On dark, that changes to BG changes to indigo 950. So inside here we are going to have an icon. So let's get to React icons, and let me search for this icon here. So I'm going to first of all import it, so that should be on top here. So real quick, have it there, and then I should pick that, and then what I need to do is to have it inside here, and that should be within this, so something like that. So this is what we're having here. Let me change the background, and also this has a typo, that's why it is not a circle, and I'm going to change this from indigo to select. Yeah, and also the text should be a bit lighter. So let's say text select 400. Yeah, so at least that's visible, but on dark we should change that maybe to select 900. Sorry, here we should say text. So now what I can do, I can just duplicate. Oh sorry, before I duplicate, we also need to have the text. So run payroll, and this other text there. So that one again should be in another container. So we are moving this to, so this one we just have it unstyled. so we can style this one instead. So for the font, we give it a semi-bold with the text of small, and here we're going to have the text learn payload. Sorry. So I'm duplicating that and I'm changing the text here to March 7th at 4:50 in the PM, and here we are having the text changing to indigo 500, and the text being extra small, no semi-bold. So you have something like that, only that we should have the text color here changing. So run payload, let me see, the color should be slate 400. So let's say the text slate 400. Better. Wait a minute. This looks like the text is still, it's happening to our icon. It's a bit oh sorry, we made a mistake. This one should be 400 on the dark because we are creating on the dark, and this is one that should be 900. So that way on a dark we should have it being a bit light. Yeah, so something like that. And so now we can duplicate the whole of this card here, so that we have several. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have something like that. So the last thing that we're going to have there, of course, is the specific card. So again, quickly, let's have that. So that comes at the bottom here. So as usual, we create a container for it and have it styled. So again, the information here appears on a call. The BG should be white on right theme. On dark, the BG changes to slate 900, reducing the saturation to 50. The gap should be 6, a padding of 4, and we should also have it rounded LG with a height of auto. Nice. So now we are also going to create another container. So for this container, again, we have the text being bold, text going to indigo, uh, 950. On dark, we want to change here the text to slate 400, and going to have the text being board meeting. We are creating another container here, and we are styling it first. So we are having the font being semi-bold. The text, we are having it being indigo. This should be 500 on the dark. That changes to select 400. The text should be small, and here we're having the text. So something like that. And so when we check, we should be in a position to see something like that. Let me see, because I think there should be some enough space. Oh yeah, we forgot the margin of 4. And I'm also thinking that we should also have a gap of 6. Okay. Yeah, because that should be, oh yeah, the gap of 6 is already there. Let me talk about my, because I think my of, and maybe mx of 4. That's margin right and left, and this is margin top and bottom. Yeah, so I think that way looks better. Then we forgot the March 15th 2024. Should have that text somewhere. So let me see, this one gets outside. Just a minute, I want to create a container here, and then I'm going to have this one going inside that. Like that, and we have this there. Then within this we're going to have another container, and this is the one that is going to have the time. So that is March 5th 2024. And here we change this. We make the text to be extra small, the font to be bold, and the text being indigo. Yeah, so something like that. So that is the specific dashboard, and I do hope that you are able to learn something from this, and you can be able to create your own dashboard. So up until next time, thanks for watching up until this point. See you the next one.